The loss of Grant Thompson for me is the loss of a friend, an inspiration, and the hardest working person I've ever known. I met Grant before he posted his first tutorial video. I gave his channel some promotion when his was smaller than my own, which was a very long time ago. He told me often that was something he would always be grateful for, but to be honest, my reasons for doing so were mostly selfish. He was already on his way to success, I just wanted to be his friend when he got there. I'm ashamed that was part of my motivation in getting to know Grant, but it wasn't my only motivation. I learned from Grant, both from his methods and his work ethic. I was inspired by his projects, and he was always happy to collaborate. He gave his channel every ounce of effort he had. Grant started on YouTube making videos that cataloged his own education, then took aim at learning to conquer YouTube itself. He worked at an intensity level no one else could hope to sustain, and finally built a system where videos that continue to inspire millions of people could be made without him. He stepped back, finally able to enjoy his family and his hobbies without the pressure of turning them into an entertaining video. Every conversation I had with Grant over the past 2 years, he seemed to be happier and happier. He attained the world in his professional life, but rather than continuing to burn the candle at both ends, he took a step back. He enjoyed his family, he enjoyed his life like some never do. Maybe only to its fullest for a few years, but if I know Grant, he fit decades worth of living into that short time. And I will miss him very much.
Sitting here for about 30 minutes trying to figure out exactly how to say what I want to say. Most people know Grant Thompson as a hard-working, super intelligent, willing to learn, super successful YouTuber with 11 million subscribers. And yes, we've made some videos together with Grant back when he was putting in an insane amount of hours into his YouTube channel. But yet the Grant Thompson legacy that will live on in my life and that has made an impact on me is the things that I've learned from him in the last year, where he has kind of put aside the business side of things and really put his family first. It might be something that not everybody notices, but it's something that I personally noticed and I took inspiration from and feel like I need to be a better father and a better husband and spend as much time as I can with my kids. Thank you for your good example, Grant, and you 100% will be missed.
Now, I myself had never met Grant, but like all in the YouTube maker community, we all knew who he was. You know, his videos had caught our eyes years ago. He was like one of the originals. Some of his projects were some of the inspiration behind some of my own. But I think it was his ability to explain really complex processes in a really easy to understand manner, which is why the channel grew and got people hooked. Now then, I'd never met him. We spoke on the phone. He's a top bloke. He's exactly like you see in the videos. Exactly what you expect. Just wants to see what you're up to, see how you're going, see how we can help. So as well as talking about projects and whatnot, we also talk about how we did stuff. And he was always fascinated with why and how I do everything on my channel on my own. He's like, you need to get people in, help you, make your life a lot easier. And I was like, yeah, it's probably right. But then his decision to then step back from his YouTube channel is one of the ones that I most admire, because to build a channel up to the size of the King of Random is no easy task. And to then step back to be with friends and family, what a decision. It just goes to show the type of guy that he was. So then, Grant, you may not be with us anymore, but you have left your mark on the internet and on the world. So, it has been a pleasure, and thank you very much.
I have been incredibly inspired by Grant and his just relentless pursuit of curiosity about how the world works, and just how much he delved into exploring every element of science and physics, and I just think he really ignited a wonder in the next generation and revolutionized kind of educating people, really. And I truly believe that his legacy will live on forever.
This is a video that I was never hoping to make, but here we are. Grant Thompson was a generous person, he was an intelligent person, and he was a kind person. Fellow Canadian, he would just randomly text me from time to time and say, hey man, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Come stay with me sometime, let's get together. That's just how he was. He was a kind-hearted person. He was a family man, thrill seeker, incredible entrepreneur, built a business from nothing. And he was one of the good ones. and YouTube and the community and the world lost a good person. And you're gonna be missed, Grant. Miss you, brother. Love you.
We always enjoyed working with Grant. Whenever we showed up to one of his projects, we never knew what was going to happen or what to expect. And I think that's what made him so much fun. It was always a surprise. He was a really inspiring and just a genuinely good dude.
And whenever we've been around him and seen all the things that he's accomplished, it really motivated and pushed us to work even harder.
We love you, Grant. We'll miss you, man.
Grant was such an incredible inspiration to me and to so many people here on YouTube. And to even have to be making this video right now, I am still in shock, as I think many people in the industry and around the internet are. But if there's one thing that we can do is we can celebrate him, because what he brought to YouTube and to so many people's lives is something that could never be replaced. And Grant, you will forever be one of my most favorite collabs. Over the past few years, I've always had such a fun story to tell when people would come over and ask how I got burn marks in my backyard. I tell them, Grant came over and we melted an iPhone in my backyard. It's totally normal. But if you knew Grant, it was totally normal. Is this safe?
You gotta define safe.
I don't know. Am I gonna have a house?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I'm scared. I'm just afraid of...
This is obviously a very, very new experience, way outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable. I think that's the best way to put it.
The first time Grant and I ever got to hang out in person, he really surprised me. Instead of asking about how my channel was doing or what videos I had coming up, he just sat me down and looked me in the eyes and said, "Tell me about you." And that spoke volumes to me. If you watch his videos, you know that he was curious and creative, and he liked to take chances and liked to do interesting things and try new stuff, but you may not see that he also just cared about people. He loved his family dearly. He was also an incredible businessman, really, really sharp, and thought a whole lot about every single thing that he did. He made sure that he could have the life that he wanted to have.
Last week when I heard that Grant Thompson had died, I was shocked, to say the least, as I'm sure many of you were. How could this be? Here was a guy that played with liquid nitrogen, threw it in his own face. He played with fire, made explosions, dabbled with microwave ovens and electricity, and also the law of nature, gravity. All kinds of videos of him doing acrobatic tricks in his old airplane, doing paragliding, and even skydiving. My relationship with Grant started about 5 years ago when we texted each other and actually spoke over the phone quite a few times, mainly about YouTube, but also about a lot of things that were going on in our lives, and we developed a friendship that way. And I had the opportunity to meet Grant in November of 2018 when he was here in Florida, learning how to paramotor. We had lunch together and shared our lives together and had a great time. So it never once crossed my mind that gravity, the law of nature that he played with in his videos and in his life, would be what would take his life. I'm so sad that Grant is gone, as I know you are too. But Grant will always be, to me, the king of random and my friend.
I remember the first time that I had a chance to collaborate with Grant. I had flown out to his house in Utah, and we were going to spend a week filming all kinds of fun science demonstrations. And during that stay, he got an email from The Tonight Show, and I was like, dude, that's incredible. You should go and absolutely take that opportunity. That's huge. And without hesitation, Grant turned to me and he said, I don't think I'm going to. And he just looked at me and he says, you know, I've already been spending so much time away from my family in the last few months. I think that I would rather be here with Janae and the boys than on The Tonight Show. That kind of stuck with me. Throughout the time that I have known Grant, he has consistently put his family above just about everything else in life. He was a man who had his priorities straight. He understood the irreplaceable value of time. Grant was an awesome friend and an inspirational father. I'm always going to be looking up to you, man. I'm going to miss you too. Rest in peace.
I have known him for over 6 years. We met to the internet and filmed a couple of videos, and once a year we would meet up and hang out at the conventions. He was one of the most inspiring guy, high energy, super athletic guy, always come up with really cool ideas, and you know, he actually one of the first to congratulate me with a baby when I announced it, so it was just 2 months ago. I don't know what else to say. I'm really bad at expressing my feelings like that, but Grant Thompson is definitely a legend. He inspired me throughout the years. We will miss him, that's for sure. He is a legend. He is #1.
I got to have Grant as a friend for 5 years, and it wasn't nearly enough. And what I always loved about him was, from day one, he was about positivity and putting good vibes into the world and making the internet a place where everybody could win. Every conversation was a joy, and it always felt like we were conspiring to take on the world. And he would hit me up with, appropriately enough, just random positive vibes. And I found the last text exchange that we had, it was in the morning, I was just waking up, and I get this from Grant. Hey Brian, I was just thinking about you and wanted to let you know that I think you're great. I have a lot of respect for you and really admire how much work and passion you put into everything you do. Hope this doesn't sound weird, just wanted to pass it along because it's true. I'm also scheduling this message to go out later today because it's 1 a.m. and don't want to wake you up with an unnecessary notification because I care about your sleep, LOL. And I was so struck by that and responded with, just got to this message and it's made my morning. Thanks so much for the good vibes and encouragement, man. It really means the world to me. You've been such a fantastic influence in my life and I'm so thankful we're friends. Hope to see you and the family soon.
The King of Random was one of the first channels I looked up to. I started watching Grant back in 2012. His channel is one of the reasons I wanted to do YouTube as a business. And I remember I reached out to him back when YouTube messages was still a thing, maybe 2013. He actually replied. I think I was just looking for a shout out, if I'm being honest, but instead Grant gave me some valuable advice. Focus on the content, the production quality, the audience will come. I took that to heart and kept putting everything back into my channel, and it worked. Without the King of Random, Hacksmith Industries may never have even become a thing.
One thing that I will always remember about my private conversations with Grant is that we saw 100% eye to eye on the topic of family, but he was a little beyond me. We both agreed that family is the most important thing, and this internet stuff is just this thing we do, but family's where it is, right? That's the important stuff. Grant was one step beyond in that he would set up systems in place in order to buy himself more time with family. And that was really interesting to me. I mean, he led me in that way because we would talk about it and I would be thinking these things, but he would already have XYZ in place. And so he would always push me in that particular area of my life. And I greatly appreciate that. And I will not forget those conversations.
Grant Thompson was a big inspiration to me to start my YouTube channel. I mean, seriously, I tried to emulate him in all of my early videos because I just thought he was the coolest guy on YouTube and he did all the coolest things. One memory I have of Grant that sticks out in particular is one time I didn't upload a video for like 3 or 4 months and he reached out to me and he said, hey man, are you doing okay? You haven't uploaded a video, is everything all right? And I said, you know, yeah, I guess so. I'm just kind of not feeling very inspired. I'm feeling kind of like burned out and I don't know what to do. And he kind of gave me a pep talk. He said, you know, he goes through the same thing. Sometimes you have to balance your own personal projects with projects that you want to make for YouTube. And, you know, it was just really comforting to know that, number one, that he cared enough to reach out to ask if I'm okay. And number two, that, you know, other people go through the same problems. And so it was really nice to talk to somebody like that. I was just really impressed with him. He went the extra mile. And I think that that's something that Grant did throughout every aspect of his life. And that's why Grant is the king.
So when I started my YouTube channel, or like my whole career really, there was a couple pillars, and Grant was the biggest of those pillars. And so in so many ways, we looked up to Grant, not just as a creator, but just as like the person that I wanted to be, the person that we wanted to be as the company, as this YouTube channel, as everything. And he always had that position in this world as the person that I was working towards to be like. And what made it so awesome, what really confirmed a lot of my beliefs that Grant was such a good person and that he really was the person that I was working to be like, both professionally and in my personal life, is when Grant came to my apartment to just show us how we were doing an experiment wrong. It had to do with butane rockets, and we just couldn't quite get it right. and we had this butane rocket launcher, and I wanted to show him what we were working on so that he could show us that if it was going right or wrong or whatever. And he basically explained to us that we were doing it totally wrong. And that memory just, it's like, it just burned in my brain.
I just wanted to say my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that was once involved in Grant's life, whether that be a friend or a family member. This is a very unfortunate event that has taken place. I have had the blessed opportunity to work with Grant multiple times in the past. If there was any words that I would be able to tell Grant, it would just be, thank you so much, man, for being a huge creative inspiration to me. I remember watching Grant when I was a little kid, always testing out his crazy science experiments. They always made me smile, always pushed me to test new boundaries. So a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, man. You are a true legend. Rest easy, buddy.
The very first time I met Grant Thompson, I think, was at a YouTube EDU event where they got everybody together. And one of the things that kind of stuck in my mind early on was his desire to collaborate on everything. He constantly wanted to work together on projects, and I was lucky enough to get a chance to work together on some of the projects. And I think that's what most impressed me, is that no matter how much that spotlight shined on him and everything that he was doing, he was so inclusive, and he was never afraid to grab a hold of you and kind of pull you into the spotlight and just kind of share that with you. Just that spirit of sharing, giving, that collaboration is something that I'll just never forget. Grant, you'll be sorely missed.
Grant was fearless. He was like the science teacher that you always wished you had, right? Doing the experiments that you always imagined that you would do in science class, but schools legitimately can't let you do because they're too dangerous. I was lucky enough to work on, in total, about like 5 videos with Grant. And we got to do all sorts of crazy stuff in that amount of time. We sucked down some weird gas, sodium hexafluoride, to adjust our vocal levels. But nothing will compare to lighting thermite on the beach without any sort of permission. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this story, but for one of his videos to test whether or not Mario could actually throw underwater fireballs, he had the idea of, well, thermite is able to stay lit underwater, so let's test that out. You know, we found an abandoned stretch of beach that we probably shouldn't be on. And we were very actively watching out for any Coast Guard trucks or any suspicious flying helicopters overhead. But that was what was so great about Grant, right? Was that he just wanted to do it because it was cool. He wanted to share the enthusiasm and love for science and learning that he had with his audience. To find a YouTuber who's passionate not about building a business or building a brand or becoming a star, but to educate people, it's rare and it's so valuable. And the influence that he had on the community was a positive one.
Hey, what's up? My name is Stewart Edge, and I'm very blessed and honored to have worked with Grant Thompson on many different projects over the past few years on this YouTube channel, some of which include making nunchucks, melting copper, and most importantly, dressing up in a monkey costume and catching bananas that were flying through the air. Aside from the working relationship, I was very blessed and honored to have a friendship and most importantly, a mentorship with him. I remember having many personal one-on-one conversations with him where he would give me advice on how to be a better YouTuber and a better father and a better husband in the future. And one of the last conversations we had, I wrote down in this journal, and I was just reading over it recently and was reminded that while he may have been the king of random, he was not random in the way he lived his life. He lived his life with intent and purpose. And so if you are inspired, as I am, by the stories that you're hearing of Grant, know that he really did live his life with intent and purpose and knew what he was doing. And I'm choosing to continue his legacy by living with intent and purpose every day of my life. Thanks, Grant. You'll be missed.
So I've known Grant for a few years now, and each time we hung out, one thing that always stuck out to me was his passion and his willingness to help out. He was the same cool, chill person off camera that he was on camera, and that was refreshing, because sometimes people's personalities differ when the camera turns on. But that wasn't the case with Grant. One time I needed some liquid nitrogen for a video that I personally was making, so I texted Grant, and the very same day he said come over and he helped me film the project I was working on, dropping everything he was working on, which I'm sure was a lot, to help me out, even though my channel was much smaller than his. He made me feel super important. Grant is, was, and always will be one of the best, and it was a pleasure to know him.
Hey Grant, I've had just a pit in my stomach all week thinking about this whole thing. I've never met anyone with more of an insatiable curiosity or just a drive for excellence than you possessed. The way you always thought through all the different angles for any project and then presented things so cleanly has always been an inspiration for me. So not only are you an inspiration for me and other YouTubers or the billions of people who have seen your videos, but you'll be an inspiration to so many yet unborn, because I don't care if the year is 2060, making a $3 laser guided blowgun will always be amazing. And so while it still feels surreal that I can no longer just call you up and ask for YouTube advice, the good news is we still get to hang out. In fact, it was comforting to hang out quite a bit this week as I rewatched a bunch of your videos. And so we're gonna hang out even more together with my son as he gets older, and I look forward to you and I spending some quality time with my grandkids someday. So thanks for all you stood for, all you did, and how you did it. It's an honor to call you a friend.
Fill to me the parting glass and drink a health whatever befalls. Then gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Good night and joy be to you all.
I want everybody who's watching this to remember what Grant stood for. To go learn new things, to experiment, to try things, and enjoy the world around you. We're gonna miss you, Grant. Thanks for everything, bud.
I'm just very appreciative that I can say that I knew Grant, I got to meet Grant, talk with Grant, and that someone like Grant exists so that I have something to work towards.
His curiosity was infectious, and his bravery on his channel was palpable. You'll be missed, Grant. Thank you for everything that you did.
Thank you for everything you've done for us, Grant. You've been a good friend and a treasure to the internet.
Come on! Grant Thompson is the King of Random!
Grant, he's the OG, the king of YouTube. When I finally met him in person a year later, he was the most genuine, friendly guy I'd ever met. We didn't end up doing much of a collaboration video or an actual project, but just hung out, talked about YouTube, and became friends. We even hit up a local parkour gym to throw some flips. I'm gonna miss him a lot.